Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're joining from across the world, and whatever time zone it is when you're watching this broadcast. I'm very happy and delighted and super excited to welcome you to the fourth edition in our Fireside Chat series for the Career Acceleration Summit. Our Fireside Chat series are our pre-summit conversations that cover several thematic areas on the things that make for acceleration in your career. Whether you are an entrepreneur or you are a career professional, you are in the right place. And I'm so delighted to make you warmly welcome. My name is Israel Olumayo Aljuade. I'm the company secretary and the chief project officer at CAS Consult, and I also double as the program's lead for the Career Acceleration Summit. It's been an amazing 4 weeks or so of this Fireside Chat series, and it's been beautiful, beautiful so far. Week one, we looked at the career acceleration mindset, thinking your way to the next level. Week two was mind-blowing. We spoke about the career compound effect. What are the habits that make for career acceleration? And week three focused on a subject that is so critical and intricate to the subject of career acceleration, which is emotional intelligence. We spoke about the topic EQ is the new IQ. It was a mind-blowing session. In case you were not in any of these editions, I ask that you please subscribe to this channel and just catch the replay for all the sessions that we've had. Week one was we had amazing convener of the summit, Mr. Falake Agubiade. She was one who handled week one as our facilitator. Week two, we had Coach Benga Oyeni, and week three, we had Coach Tega Omogo. Today, we are having the super amazing Chiamaka Chiwendu. I won't tell you much about her, but trust me, you will be blown away. If you're yet to share this link with everyone you love, including your enemies, this is your moment right now. Just click on the share button on the streaming platform that we're on right now. Put it on your status, put it on your Facebook channel, every platform that you're on, anyone you intend for them to accelerate their career journey, you need to share this link with them ASAP. I'm super pumped and excited. Let me know where you're joining from in the chat room. I'm Israel Ojwadi, like I introduced myself earlier. I'm joining you from the beautiful city of Abuja, where the Career Acceleration Summit Studios is located. Yes, we are broadcasting live from the Federal Capital Territory at the heart of Nigeria, here in Central Business District, and we're broadcasting live to you wherever you're joining from across the world. So happy to have you online. Anas, I can see you. I'm sure you're joining from Abuja. Mona, you're welcome. She was the overwhelmingly amazing moderator for our first Fireside Chat session. I had to go watch that session again before today, and it was mind-blowing. Well done, Mona. Today is her birthday. Happy birthday to you, Mona. Shout out from all of us right here at the Career Acceleration Studios. You're most welcome. Yes, this is the fourth in the series. I'm glad to have you here. Atinuke is joining from the beautiful city of Abuja. Welcome, welcome. Stella said, glad to be back. Peace Additional is joining us from Abuja. Gideon is joining as well from Abuja. Glad to have you all here. I look forward to an amazing time of impact, an amazing time of learning. Like I said earlier, this Fireside Chat conversations are pre-summit conversations that are looking at several thematic areas on things that make for acceleration in your career journey. What are the tools? What are the things that you need to put into your career portfolio as you continue to make progress on your journey? Yes, Amira, I see you joining from Abuja. Yes, Mona is joining from Alberta. We're happy to have you on the call. Like I said earlier, this is a prelude to the summit proper, holding on Friday the 10th and Saturday the 11th of October 2025. You don't want to miss it for anything. For the 10th, we're having two sessions, the 10 a.m. session in the morning and the 5 p.m. session in the evening. And for the physical session, which is our day 2 event, it will be holding physically at the Raw Materials Research Center, the pavilion at Maitama here in the beautiful city of Abuja. Whether you're in Abuja or outside Abuja, you will definitely get a lot of value from this summit, and I encourage you to please be a part of it. Let me ask you a quick question. Yes, you and they all the way from Abuja. Thank you so much for joining. Precious is also here joining from Abuja. Abuja all the way. Abuja people are amazing. Let's know where Lagos people are at. Join us, join us. We can't wait to have you on the call. Now, we have a very important question or topic to look at today. And it says, standing out without burning out. What they did not teach you about work in school. Hey, standing out without burning out. What they didn't teach you about work in school. Now, I have several of those career myths that I found out on my journey in the last 15 years. Please, what is that one thing that they didn't tell you about work in school? I want to see your comment in the chat room. What was it that they didn't tell you about work in school that you had to find out as you got into the workforce, or whether you're an entrepreneur? What is it about work that you didn't learn in school? For me, I learned, do you want to hear my own work myth? I learned that success isn't about doing your job well. Oh. It's not about hard work. Hard work is good, but it's important that you combine hard work with smart work. I learned that success isn't just about doing your work well. It is also about who knows you, who trusts you, and who remembers you when opportunities pop up. Yes, that for me was one thing I found out and they did not tell me about in school. Tell me in the chat room, what was it about work that you were not taught in school? I'll be bringing up my speaker in a very, very short while. And trust me, today's session is going to blow your mind away, absolutely. I'll be reading her profile, and in a short while, I'll be bringing her up to the podium. Once I introduce her, then the next voice you'll be hearing will be that of our amazing speaker and facilitator for today's session. You don't want to miss this. I'm still expecting a lot more people to come into the room, and then we will get started. I'm sure you can see our profile and our beautiful face on your screen right now. I'll read a profile very quickly, and the next face and voice that you're going to hear will be that of our amazing Chiamaka Chiwendu. Chiamaka Chiwendu is a project professional and a social sector program manager with over 12 years of experience across consulting and development. She has co-led projects for financial services clients on business models, market entry, and strategy, while also driving leadership and education programs across Africa to support young innovators and advance the SDGs. Skilled in strategy, organizational development, partnerships, and program execution, she currently leads senior leadership engagement, partner convenings, and country-level priorities in Nigeria. Chiamaka holds a BSc in economics from the University of Abuja, an MSc in development, economics, and policy from the University of Manchester, and has further training from the School of Politics, Policy, and Governance and Cornell University. She's a strong advocate for youth inclusion and women leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, please, I ask that you please make it rain. And let me just add context. Now, I was in the physical audience when I saw our facilitator for the very first time speaking somewhere. And of all the speakers on that day, she stood out. So trust me, there's no better person to bring us this topic today and to add context to this amazing series we've been having, Save the One, the Only, Chiamaka Chiwendu. Please make it rain in the chat room, everyone. Let's feel your energy. Let's feel the fire. You're welcome, Chiamaka. Good to see you. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank
Please
you,
take it
Israel.
away. Over to you. I'll be back.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this energy and for welcoming me. The lineup of speakers has been amazing. Just following this amazing set of speakers, and to be here today, to grace your screens. So just thank you, and great work, you're doing with the Career Acceleration Summit. I'm delighted to be here. Like I mentioned, to Israel when we were chatting earlier, the topic is one that is tremendously, I guess, interesting, and convoluted, just in different ways. And so today, we'll be having, just that conversation. And as much as possible, we'd like for it to be engaging, from everywhere and wherever you are. Um, so just listen in and let me know how you're, feeling about it in the chat. Feel free to agree to disagree. And I'm grateful that we'll have, Q&A at the end of all of this. If I'm able to share my slides, I'll put it up, but if not, I'll just go with the flow. Right. I guess first things first to talk about is what what is burnout, right? So burnout, and mind you, this is not, this is not how do I say, this is not a psychological conversation or anything. We're just using it, to get a bit more context, in terms of what burnout is. And so to do that, I'll just, just be reading out, what I have here. The WHO, has various definitions of what burnout is. But I think the one that stands out to me the most is the conversation around how it differs with stress, right? Stress is different from burnout, because stresses and fatigue are day-to-day things that happen, right? They could happen to you because you've been working long hours and things like that. That is stress, right? But burnout is a feeling of not being enough, right? Is a feeling of not being enough. And it means that you're feeling empty and perpetually exhausted, right? You're devoid. Thank you so much for my slides. So it's stress and fatigue are a daily experience, like I've said. Burnout is not a medical diagnosis, right? No one has said, there's a long spectrum of depression and all of those, but burnout isn't that, right? And so the focus of our conversation today is how do we blend that with standing out in the workplace, right? So it creeps up on you in terms of how burnout, starts to develop, right? And as we've seen here, WHO defines it as a chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. And I have a couple of stories to go on this one, right? The operative word here is not being successfully managed. A couple of years ago, at work, in one of my former jobs, I woke up one morning. Funny enough, it was a retreat day, right? They said you should go for retreats, and do all these things and help yourself to manage stress. And on this particular day, I woke up and I could not feel myself, right? I wasn't feeling myself. It was as though like my head was going to blow, like it was going to implode, right? Like right at the center of it. Um, and there and then, the first person I called, I mean, if you're in my part of the world, I don't know how many 911 numbers, we even remember in case of an emergency, but I called my mother. And then we started to figure out how to get me to the hospital. Thankfully, my landlord was there. Like it was an excruciating pain, just right there from the middle of my head. Like it was going to just blow. Thankfully, I was able to, get to the hospital and get medical attention. That was the first time ever I had a drip, put in my hand. And the ironic thing about it is nobody actually checked for me. Like only one person realized that I was missing at work. And so I think that was the beginning of me just starting to nurse the idea that, you know what, maybe this is not the place for me, right? So it has an impact on your health, and it starts to creep up. And quite honestly, I would say that I had not been managing stress well because I just recently started this job, right? And so we'll just continue on the conversation and I'll back and forth, go back to that story and a couple of other ones. Second slide, just taking us through some of the things to look out for, right? When we talk about stress versus burnout, as I started to mention earlier, right? Both of them have some similarities, but one that I like to clearly point out in this conversation is the first one with stress is it impacts you physically, but burnout is serious because it's more serious because it impacts you mentally, right? You start that feeling of emptiness is really, what it's all about, right? You're mentally exhausted. The things that you used to find appealing, all of a sudden you're not gingered by it. It's not cutting it, as we would say, right? And so that's how, burnout, becomes a big issue. Now, some work-related causes, right? You feel like you don't have control over your work. And I can totally relate to this, starting out in my career. Then, in fact, you'll be told that you have multiple bosses. Like it's not just one boss that you have like a lineup of seven, right? And you have to know how to manage all of them. Now, so all of this, a backlog of all of this for a consistent period of time might have led to the experience, that I was speaking about earlier. Now, a lack of recognition or reward for good work. You feel like, oh, you're putting in good work. But like Israel said earlier, it's not just about good work, it's about who knows you, who you know, right? And who can speak up for you in those places, that matter. Now, unclear or overtly demanding job expectations. Unclear, I remember being an interview, and someone said to me, how do you deal with ambiguity? In my mind, I should have known that what I'm going in for is not it's not just a straight road, right? But that lack of clarity can exist sometimes. Today, this is your work. Tomorrow, your work is something else, and all of those happening right there. And then working in a chaotic or high pressure environment. Some people write on their CVs, able to work under pressure. I don't know about you, but that's Ah, I was one of the people who used to write that in my very first CV, but I have quickly, very quickly removed it. In fact, the more pace, the better for me. Doing work that is monotonous or challenging. So this one I would take with a pinch of salt, right? And I say that because you have to balance that. It depends on certain personalities. Some people are fine with monotony because they feel like, oh, it's straight cut, what I'm doing is it's straightforward, so I don't need to, just sort of think about it and all. But then for some others, they like the challenge, the mental challenge. So find out who you are, right? Which one of them are you, and then align with that. Next slide, please. And so with this, just sort of backstory on burnout, how do we then stand out, which is the second part, of our conversation today. And standing out for me is the acronym that I've coined in deliver value. That's how you stand out. Value in itself as a word is is value, right? Is valuable. But then in this acronym, it's sort of a mix of factors, like keys, as I would think about them, right? That have helped me, along the way. Some I have definitely made mistakes in, like I started to share. But then I've also learned along the way as I've gone on that, you know what, there is a method to this madness, in quotes, right? Without you, being burnt out, and things like that. So one by one, we will then take, the rest of the minutes that we have in this conversation, to just talk about all five of them, right? Some spend more time than others, but the important thing here is as much as possible, comb through it and then hear from you. Like, what do you think? Which one of it, resonates the most with you? And then we'll go from there. Right. So keep the energy coming in the group, in the comment section. I'd like to see, all of that, and read through that to just encourage me on this conversation tonight. Now, the first one, versatile and visible. So we'll then take, one by one, like I said. So V, on the next slide, talking about versatile and visible value. Now, you might wonder, right? I have my degree, I have my certifications. So what are we really talking about with versatile and visible value? Now, again, Israel has started to allude to this, when he introduced this conversation on managing, there was something that he said there, on not just, the work that you're doing, but who is seeing that work. Now, I did not know this. They didn't, thankfully to him, they taught him, but they did not teach. Nobody taught me about that, in school. Now, the reason why I brought out the definition of value here is because it matters in the context that we're speaking. Um, I start with the definition, right? It's something that is held to deserve importance and worth. So this is Oxford Dictionary saying this. It's important to know this because in your work, you've qualified, they hired you, you're now in this job. But the value, the job description is what the organization has decided is the value that they need. And then you get into the organization. The first advice that I like to give anyone when you get into the organization, any organization at all, or maybe you're even in one right now, and you're having like a challenging time navigating, ask yourself the question, the work that I'm doing, is it delivering this organization value? And I say that because you can be busy every day doing work, going up and down. They know, in fact, they even know you in the office. But when the chips are down, they're just like, she's just smiling and moving around, right? And it's not valuable to anybody. So the question is that I like to say, or the advice the charge that I like to give to people, you get into an organization, analyze that job description, and translate it into value for that organization. Like, do the math, for want of a better word, and say, oh, when they hired me, this is what they put in the JD. Now I've landed this work, I'm in this place. Okay, let me bring down my JD again. What does it even say? And what does it mean? Right? What does it mean in real life? Because, in most job descriptions, they'll put that part of and any other thing that your manager thinks that is valuable. Now, this is beyond any other thing that your manager thinks is valuable. This is even anything at all that they've even documented, right? And I can't stress this enough. I say this because it happened to me. I made a mistake once, right? I was on and on doing things because what happens when you get into an organization is that people have been waiting for you to come because they've thought maybe they've hyped you and then you get there and everybody now starts throwing all their work to you. Meanwhile, that's not value to the key people that matter, the stakeholders who we'll talk about later on. The stakeholders in that conversation, in that decision-making power, is not their business, that work that you're doing. It's just you feeling and hyping yourself. So take care and make sure that you're delivering the value that the organization has asked that you're delivering or for you to deliver. Now, to do this, you have to also know what your unique proposition is, right? I mean, your unique proposition is also sort of what brought you into the organization anyway. But then you can't, what brought you, I think is the title of a book, what brought you here will not take you there, right? And so acknowledge your superpower. Do you even know what it is? So do you know the value that you have and what you're bringing to an organization? That's why I've singled it out, from that point of definition. So all of this introspection is what you need to do and to be able to deliver consistently in an organization. Be an extra miler and know how to communicate it. You might be going the extra mile, but you're not, for want of a better word, you're not louding it. You're not saying anything about it. I get it. My work will speak for me. I definitely get it. There's that school of thoughts, and it's a valid school of thoughts. And it's true. Your work will definitely speak for you. But then as your work is speaking for you, you have to be speaking to your work or be speaking for your work, right? You can't be winking in the dark, regarding, great delivery that you're doing. And the final one that might be contentious to some people is being professionally versatile. Now, in this age of artificial intelligence that is taking the world by storm and, just moving things, someone said to me the other day, at least your work, AI cannot collect it, and things like that. Now, we're not speaking from a point of fear. It's really just to be able to command a higher value, right? Which is becoming more versatile, right? At different stages in your life, it will mean different things. At different stages in your career, it will mean different things. So at first, it might mean, just, oh, admin, projects or something like that. Give it a good balance. You max out of this one, you start to stretch in another area. Now, I put this here because one of the things that personally for me, I regretted when I started, just looking back is I had an opportunity to learn in a particular field. And I just jettisoned it because I just thought, well, these people will be stressing me. Maybe if I had someone like me speak to me at the time. As a matter of fact, I changed my perspective because I then had someone like me speak to me at that time, but then not to the full extent, right? To which I would have gone. And I'll say more about this, when we go to the next slide. Next slide, please. Right. And there we're talking about aspiration and audacity. Now, reach beyond your role is what I was trying to say, on the versatility part. At different levels or stages in your career, there will be things that will matter more than others to you, right? But at whatever space that you find yourself, just make sure that you're applying yourself and being knowledgeable about things. Reaching beyond your role is, I've maxed out this point, let me get more familiar with something else, right? And the regrets that I was talking about is I didn't know that the next job that I will get was going to be something in bank that I had to do in banking. But then just because of, people just used to say, banking is stressful, banking is stressful. I then chopped the whole thing like, oh, banking will stress me out, so let me not do it. So when I got there, I wasn't giving the best that I could, right? And this is me just being flat out honest. I wasn't giving the best that I could. I could have done more, but I wasn't because I'm like, I don't need this injury. It doesn't mean anything. And as God will have it, my next role required the skills that I had in banking. Now, it was able to even get me there, thankfully, with the bare minimum, but I could have even excelled a lot more if I had stretched myself to even understand the why, the intricacies, and some of the things that I'll be telling you in the course of today's conversation. Number two is one of my favorite things, on this aspiration and audacity one of my favorite things to say to anybody at all, including now, I still practice it. Do a skills audit. Now, the job market is a market, and market is about buying and selling, right? And so in buying and selling, someone is demanding and someone is supplying. In the workplace, you are the supplier of skills. Skills is the currency, and your organization is buying that from you. Now, if at every given point in time you're not matching skills, then there's a problem. It means that you'll be broke. There's no money for you. No one is going to be able to pay you for what you cannot deliver. Right. So at every point in time, carry out a skills audit. And when I say skills here, I'm not just talking technical. I'm talking like your functional skills, your soft skills. Make sure you're building on those. Like make sure you're assessing where you are per time so that you know what your gaps are and then you're able to reach, right? And aspire to those. Ask, I think this was maybe 2 weeks ago, a tweet that has been making the rounds, I think this month, on asking, right? It's a job market, just being able to negotiate and things like that. What will give you audacity to negotiate is that you have the skills that are being sought for. Because if not, you're just being unreasonable, right? If you don't have the skills, there's nothing to ask. You won't necessarily have the mind, right, to do that. Because I remember when I was transitioning, from one side of the sector to another, I remember, then it was my sister and I, just mulling through it. And she remembers me just being on the call and being like, that money that you called, I can't take it. It's not that it's pride, it's that I know what I have. I know the way that I work. I know that I give 1,000%, right? So that amount will not match. It's not because I'm looking for work that I would take that. Now, it takes growth to be able to get to that point. And that growth is a skills growth. Be careful of surround sound. Again, like I said, about the banking one, people will just start saying different things to you. Personally, right, what I do is, and everywhere that I find myself, I align myself to what's my career mission and my personal values. And I'm more loyal to that than even any job anywhere. And what that actually does for you is that it helps you center. But then you need to know what that mission is. Do you know what your career mission is? Do you even know what your personal mission is? And I quite understand that it changes from time to time because I'm a big fan of reinvention. feel free to hit the reinvention button as many times as you need to get better or be a new person. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I've transitioned across four sectors now, right? But then across all the four sectors that I've transitioned, there's a consistent theme, right? Of structure, of synergy, of sustainable development. That is what you would find. Now, some more than others, but the progression, is always that. And as far as I'm concerned right now, will always be that. So you need to know what your career mission is, right? You need to know what it is and then be able to make choices as a result of those. So take feedback, but don't drown out your own voice, right? Feedback is definitely important, but don't drown out your voice. It helps you to refine, get better, right? But don't drown out your voice. The last three, just real quickly, is learn. I can't say this enough. Study to be the best in your field. You know, um, I know how popular it is, to talk about follow your passion, but it's not my biggest thing, quite honestly, right? I am a firm believer in whatsoever your hands find to do it well, right? Because in doing that, if you're careful and, maybe had taken the part, that I had mentioned earlier in aligning to a career mission, you would find that all of that is reinforcing, right? And so, because some people use passion also as an excuse, right? Which is why I think that you can be the best at anything that you choose, right? Whatever your hand finds to do, because people get into the trap of, I'm passionate about it, so it comes easy to me. Does not mean that you should not be excellent at it. Does not mean that you should not continue to be consistent in that particular thing. What are the trends in your sector? Do you know what they are? Do you know how things are moving in your space? And what is upcoming to be able to make the adjustment? When I wanted to transition from consulting to development space, I read a couple of reports, right? And one that stood out to me, was how, the development sector, needed at the time, and even still now in the current reports that I've read, project management as a skill. And so I already had it. I went ahead and did a certification, a PMP certification, and because I knew that that would be valuable in where I was going, and that's it, right? I even on my current job right now, I recall that one of the things at the time of hiring was that, oh, PMP will be an added advantage, right? And this is like 2 jobs later, right? Why am I saying this? What are the trends in your sector? Do you know them? Are you able to upskill so that you can stand out? Make sure you're learning on the job, right? Back then, they used to say things to us like, and when I was, new in the professional space, you're either learning or you're earning. And we used to make, fun with our partners then about how we want to be earning and learning at the same time, right? So whatever it is that you're doing, make sure that you're learning on the job, right? Sometimes it might not be in your current role. If there are other opportunities within the environment for you to try out, please, by all means, just stretch there, and balance is definitely the word. Stretch into that because it might be, a next area of opportunity. Next, please. Understand your stakeholders, internal stakeholders, external stakeholders. Internal stakeholders, do you know your managers, sort of like, for want of a better word, disc personality? Do you know what their personalities are? Everything is not sentimental. Everything is you need to apply some logic to it too as well. When I understood what my manager's temperament is, it helped me to be able to work better with him. Some of the things that he started to raise, I just overlooked it because I'm like, that's how your temperament will want to work. That's how you show up at work, and that's the sort of level of quality that you demand, right? That you're asking for. So I get it because I understand that stakeholder. Some people are not your managers, but they are key influencers. Do you know them? Right? And do you know the work that's important to them? Right. So all of those things are sort of like how you navigate. And I mean, I would not sit here and say that, oh, office politics, this and office, it exists everywhere. Hello. The point of the matter is understand how it's working. And if you don't have the stamina to play in this, just let it go. Let it stay far away from you. But make sure that you understand how it's playing out and how it's impacting you. And just continue to deliver your value. Make sure that your skills are top notch. Because regardless of whoever comes or goes, they will pick a valuable person. External stakeholders, do you know your vendors? Do you know your ecosystem? Do you understand it well? I took a whole year, when I transitioned into development to understand the sector, right? Invest time, know who are the players, know what comes and goes, what takes people off, and all of those sorts of things. They are very important. And finally, excellence. This one, I can't I can't stress it enough. Because excellence is really, really important. And that's the last slide. Now, on excellence, I would say excellence for me combines with consistency, right? You can't just be excellence one time as a one-off thing. No, right? One of my bosses used to say that, excellence is your leave behinds are important because that's how people will remember you. You know how we say, oh, people don't remember how what you said or how you made them feel and stuff like that, or the other way around. I forget right now, sorry. It's doing small things to an unusual degree. Excellence, if you have the reputation of delivering excellent work, it will speak for you. I'll end with a story, right? On a particular on a particular job that I had, I was very, I was dissatisfied with the work, quite honestly. I thought that I could do more. I thought, I'm a great girl, so what's this one? They're wasting my time, right? And so I was just doing the work to the bare minimum. And this is different from the banking one. This is a totally different one. I was just doing the bare minimum. And so there was a reshuffle in the organization. And then a new manager came. And of course, you would think that, oh, with that, a few things move around. And, they will give you maybe like your desired role and things like that. But that did not happen. Instead, I received feedback, about how my work was not consistent. Right. So it was like the things I'm passionate about, I'll do them very well. And then the ones that I'm not passionate about, I'll just, sketch on them. So leave behinds, is what he called it. They're important because it builds a reputation, it builds a track record for you. If you're the one person who says, if it's not excellent, if it's not good enough, I'm not sending it. And then learn how to communicate to manage expectations. That's much better, right? Than just doing any shoddy work and just going, right? So it doesn't matter if it's your passion area or not. Do excellent work consistently. It might look like, oh, no one is watching you. You're not standing out yet, but you will, right? So thank you. And I hope this has been useful. I hope this has helped to, just spur something in your mind and help you to think about work, blending burning out and managing, balancing burning out and standing out differently, right? So again, it's value, deliver value, right? So visible and versatile value, audacity, audacity and aspiration. And then L, learn, U, understand your stakeholders, and E, deliver excellence consistently, right? And my charge to you is as you go back, do a skills audit and learn how to advocate for yourself, right? You're tired, know how to manage expectations with your manager. Speak up, say something, right? So thank you all very much for your attention. And over to you, Israel. I see you pop up on my screen.
See me smiling here. I'm just grinning from ear to ear, and I was just pumping in the back end, like, yo, 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 go sis. Did she deliver value or not, ladies
I
and
know, right?
gentlemen? Can
Thank
you
you.
please put your hands together for my
Thank
amazing
you.
facilitator? Like I told you guys that today's session was going to be
Thank
off the
you.
hook. I told
Thank
you you're going to
you.
take away a lot of value. I told you to expect transformation and impact. I want to assure you that if you can digest and put to practice everything our amazing facilitator spoke about today, trust me, you are on your way to becoming the very best in your industry. I love what you said about skills audit. I love what you said about skills growth. In fact, my note is full. I wrote so much, but just before I jump ahead of myself, I would like for us to go on a short commercial break. I hope you're making it rain in the chat room. We need to take some thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank
Gideon.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Stella.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Dara. It's
you.
raining accolades in the chat room. Chamaka, trust me, you don't want to
Thank
see. I'm
you.
sure you get some time to catch up with it. Thank you
Yes,
so much
I
for
will. I
delivering
will.
value. You
Thank you.
did epitomize everything you told us to do today in today's session. And I know you off camera. I know you're someone who's done consistent work to transition across 4 industries and counting. Who knows? By the
And
next time we
counting.
invite
Yes.
you, Jesus
Yes.
might have transitioned again. So well done and thank you so much. We'll just allow you a few minutes to just catch your breath, take coffee or take water, whichever your preference is, or juice, as the case may be. We will
Water
run
is
a few
golden.
ads. We'll run a few ads and we will be back with our Q&A. Let me ask, please, if you're here to drop your questions, please go ahead and drop them in the chat room. We're getting premium value in today's session. If you are to consult for 30 minutes of my facilitator's time, you will pay in pounds. You're not even paying in naira. So all the questions you need to ask, please drop them in the chat room. We will put them together and we will be right back in your faces in a short while. Thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. Please stay glued to your screen. We will be back delivering value. And if you're yet to share this link with those you love and those you I will not say it. Please go ahead and share it right away. We're still here and we'll be back in a short while. Thank you so much. Media team, please take it away. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back, everyone, from that commercial break. I hope you had a restful one. I want to say thank you so much on behalf of our convener, the convener of the Career Acceleration Summit, Coach Afolake Agunbiadi, for joining today's fireside chat. And I want to remind everyone to please register for the summit if you haven't done so. Like I said earlier, these conversations are just the first in the series of other thematic areas we'll be looking at the summit. It's a 2-day summit holding on the 10th, Friday the 10th, and Saturday the 11th. The first day is fully virtual, while the second day is an hybrid event. For those in Abuja, will be convening at the Raw Materials Research and Development Event Center, the Pavilion. It's at Maitama, just on the road that has Merit House, the Hilton, and other highbrow buildings in the city of Abuja. We're starting by 10 a.m. on day 2, and we're starting by 9 a.m. on day 1. We cannot afford to not have you in this summit. Trust me, if you can get this much value in the fireside chat, how much more would we get in the summit proper? And please bear in mind as well that this fireside chat series continues next week, Friday at 4 p.m. And the final session will be holding on Wednesday, the 8th of October. That will be the very, very last before the summit proper on the 10th and the 11th, and we cannot wait to have you. If you're also yet to like, to comment, to subscribe to this channel, please go ahead and do so. We are passionate about enhancing, about redefining the culture of excellence and processes so that you can thrive in your career journey. Chamaka, thank you so much for today's session. A lot of the things you said resonated with me as a person. I know you as a person of value, but that acronym, deliver value, would stick with me for the rest of my life. You have a way of passing across phenomenal truth very simply, unassumingly with your look until you start talking. That's when everyone will just be blown away. I'm so proud of you. You did an amazing job today. We have a few questions that we have gathered from across board. You said something very profound. And for me, I think that is one thing that I struggle with, which is visibility. I'm someone who believes I'm an amazing professional. I'm a person of value. I'm someone who does great work. However, it could be because of my background or my personality or my religious bias that just feels, hey, don't blow your trumpet too loudly. Just be calm, be chill. I have this question for you. What would you say to someone who is feeling invisible or underappreciated at work? I want to tie that back to that, and then I'll circle back with 2 more questions before we call it a wrap for today's session. There's someone in the chat room who says, hey, I've been a career professional. I've been working for 5, 7 years, maybe even 10 years. I've not gotten a significant pay raise. Inflation is doing the numbers on me already. It looks like they don't even care about me, my organization. I feel underappreciated. I'm thinking to jump ship, not knowing that delivering value on a consistent basis, like you rightly said, is the real catch. What will be your advice to someone who is struggling with visibility and feeling appreciated at work? Over to you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Israel, for this question. I'm not sure why I thought this might be one of the ones, because it's in our culture, right? It's not something that is hyped. Again, it's one of those things that they don't teach you in school, quite honestly. If we're being honest about it, nobody tells you about being visible. So my first advice will actually be, sort of like back to what I said. Is it value that you're delivering? Like what your organization wants, are you delivering it? Let's start from there. And maybe I'll use just a quick story. So I served in a bank. And in that bank, as part of, the work that I was doing there, I was part of the welfare team. Now, there were 3 things I was doing in that bank. They signed me up as a marketer, but guess what? On the day that the customer service babe does not show up, I'm there, right? I'm at front desk. And then again, I'm counting money at the cash point. So I know those 3 things about banking, like just by being there. Now, when they now interviewed, because they took some of us, and we're going to be interviewed, for permanent stay in the organization. And they asked me, what is your value to this organization? I'm embarrassed to admit that one of the things I actually said was that, oh, I was in the welfare department. Yes. that, when people are going through, I'm shocked. Even now, like when I was prepping for this, I just remember this. I'm like, what was I thinking? And that's because nobody teaches you that. But if really and truly the work that you're doing, right, ties to value for the organization, they said bring in money. I could have tied it really to like the drive for opening accounts that was going on at the time. I was doing remarkably well because my supervisor was saying stuff around, oh, if you enter a taxi, talk to them about opening accounts. And I was doing that was such a creative move. I was doing that, but I didn't know how to tie it. So the question first to you is what you're doing, the work you're doing on a day-to-day, is it tying to that? If the answer is yes, then the second point will be start with your manager, right? When we spoke about understanding stakeholders, when you go into your appraisal, don't just go there and say, oh, yeah, I was part of the people in this team. No, that's not how you say it. You have to learn the language, right? The framing for value, right? It's not just I did. How is that I did tying to what was actually the mission for that time? And sometimes that I did is not just, it's not only numerical, right? Because for some people, it's not only numerical. If one of the things that the team has been struggling with is employee engagement, right? And something that you did connected to employee engagement, then say it, right? So the first one will be what I had said. And then the second one is use the language, use the right language. And the third one is start with your manager and then work your way around to all stakeholders. If you know anything about advocacy, is that it's more one by one, it's more back channeling than, oh, I sit in a place to defend. So walk your way that way for people to say, oh, yes, this is what I'm working on. Randomly, people just ask, what are you working on? Just say, don't say, is that, you know that new project now? No, don't say that. Learn the language and
Thank
speak the
you.
language for that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I love what you said about value being subjective. It's possible for you as a professional for you to think, oh, I'm delivering value, I'm doing all the work. How does it translate into impacting on the bottom line of the business or the objectives of the
Yes,
department that you've
yes.
been set in for? I love how you also tied it back with stakeholder management because it's very, very critical that you make your work visible to those who are the stakeholders and the influencers. I love what you said about stakeholders and influencers. There might be some people who are not stakeholders in terms of, oh, they are not your manager, quote and unquote. However, if they put in a word, for you with someone who is a stakeholder, it would really, really make a huge difference because you usually will be the last person to know about your promotion or your
Yes,
demotion. Usually
yes,
will have been discussed,
yes.
around some other corridors of power, and then someone should be there who can speak for you. So that's very, very profound. Thank you so much, Chiamaka. I could go on for another 1 hour. I love the vibe and the energy. It's going on really good. So today, we had the opportunity in the office, my team and I have been doing a lot of engagement and partnership with the NYSC. We were at the HQ, the National Head Office yesterday. I visited a few CDS groups today, and we're, really having a lot of engagement in terms of the Career Acceleration Summit. And I met a gentleman today. I don't know if he's on the live stream. His name is Eniola, and we spoke a lot. I asked him, okay, where are you? What's your career progression? What are you looking to achieve? And I told him about a few things that I didn't learn in school. One of them was about the psychology of money and how that is critical to career acceleration. I talked to him about, I didn't even know when I switched to coaching. I just started telling him about, money market. You need to make sure
Mm,
that you set a particular percentage of what you earn a
mhm.
month into a dedicated investment account so that it will compound over time. I said, this one thing I told you, it took me almost 5, 7 years of active, diligent hard work for me to understand that the way to get to financial independence isn't so much about working really hard on your job. It's about the other things. So I just want you to, I know there are several of them, but what other things do hiring managers really look out for, when they are hiring that really isn't taught in school? What are the things that you said something about the organization having an expectation at the back of their mind before bringing in an employee or advertising for a role? So what is it that hiring managers really look out for that they don't teach us in school? So that someone who is just an entry-level professional can just have that cheat code when next, they're applying for their next job so that they can hit the ground running and accelerate their career journey. Over to you.
Thank you, Israel. This one is a convoluted type of response, but I'll try to stick it to just, two things. And I'll speak from one of the things that they told us in school and one of the ones that we weren't told. And the first one for me is extracurricular activities, since you're tying it to, someone who is a first starter. Back then they would say join clubs, join, be active in all these things. They didn't tell you why you were supposed to be active in. At least they didn't tell me. They just say it will be good on your CV. What does good on your CV even mean? Do you understand? Say, do this one, join society, all this. So me, I was active in my students association. But all those JCI, all those many things, I did not join. If you're in some schools, maybe they will even come to your school. In my school, how many of them were there? So good thing is, join those things. And the reason for it is because it helps you to what I was talking about in terms of versatility of skill. It helps you with skill versatility. Earlier this year, I was in a selection committee, for a particular program, and they were saying, this guy, he knows only how to do one thing. We can't flex him in multiple areas. And so that was why they dropped the person. Yeah, they just like, what if the thing flows this way? Will he be able to tilt in that direction? And if the answer is no, the answer is no, you're not going to stand out. Right. So that's one of the things that I would just say. Like that versatility of skill is useful. And don't always think of skill as hard skill. Soft skill is valid. If on a job, what you're learning is how to confront people or how to deal with bad news, is a valid and valuable. I kid you not. You know how many people in our environment hate confronting people? If what you gain in that work is that you know how to confront human beings, or in those associations, is that you know how to negotiate, that's it, you have moved. And then the second one on, that we went to school is no experience is ever wasted, like even in the workplace. No experience is ever wasted. We go up and down, saying, this is what I studied, this is what I want to do. Not necessarily. Going back again to whatever your hands finds to do. If the first work that you get out of your NYSC is that, oh, be managing cyber cafe, bros, start from there. Do you understand? Like the little things actually counts. It's just us that, just tend to look down on those things. And just know, again, going back to the language, know how you frame it. We go on and on about LinkedIn people and how they say all these things. My dear, I'm not saying blow up in that magnitude of just saying something that was not really there, but just know how to match it, in that way and speak up for yourself. Over.
Thank you so much. Just one more question. Our time is fast spent. I have so much that I'm taking away from this session. And I want to encourage everyone on the live stream, don't assume that you have mined all the gold there is in this session. I ask that you please sit with the presentation that our facilitator, I think she was very authentic. She shared her story. She also gave us practical insights that you can start implementing right from today. So please make sure you not only watch it again, catch the replay again, and make sure you share it with someone who you love. Finally, for today, before I bring up stage the convener for our final words, by the way, after this question, I'll also circle back to have you just give your final words. If you can just summarize today's session in one word, I'd like you to also just give that. For me, it is deliver value consistently. Yes. Deliver value. That's the one sentence I'm taking away from today's session, because no one despises a relevant object or a relevant person. I still got a call from a colleague of mine who I hadn't seen or worked with in about 10 years. And he calls me and says, Israel, there's a big role that just came up in this particular space, and I want to recommend you for it. I'm like, whoa, we haven't spoken in that long. I must have left an impression. And I said a very, very big thank you, because that guy was not in my team, but because of, he was one of my internal stakeholders in my workplace. He was one of my internal it was just one of my colleagues, and managing stakeholders, like you rightly said, was what got me that opportunity. And I would never, 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 never stop. And I won't ever forget that experience. Finally, how do you stand out without burning out? Standing out in present continuous tense without burning out. Today's workspace is very competitive.
Yes.
It's very fast paced. People are sending emails at 3 a.m. in the midnight, and they're supposed to resume at work at 8 a.m. the next morning. I think we're having a conversation off camera some days back, and you told me how you had some meetings that span late into the night, so much we had to even reschedule our own alignment call a few days ago. I want to ask you again, how can professionals like you and I, and entrepreneurs, how can they manage burnout in a purpose-driven, high pressure and competitive environment? How do you manage burnout? Over to you.
Right, thank you. Again, another hydra-headed question. But I'll try to stay with maybe three things in terms of response. The simple answer, quite honestly, for me, the first simple answer is rest. We don't rest enough. That's just the truth. We don't rest enough. And it might sound somehow me saying it, but I'll just give a small example. Rest is a productive activity. But the way that we think about it is that rest, yeah, when you're resting, you're faffing. That's what fuels the competition, right? But if you consider rest a productive activity, then you will know to schedule your rest. When I say schedule your rest, I'm a project manager, right? And so when I have like high intense engagements, at the end of them, I take days off. In fact, one of the things that they know about me in the organization is that you will not find Chamaka. We have mental health days. You will not find Chamaka on the days that have been called mental health days, right? Because she's taking care of her mind. And it's important to me because my mind is the engine that I'm producing from, right? At some point, one of my managers was making a joke like, Chamaka, you need to have an AI processor in your brain because of the amount of churn, that you're delivering. So schedule your rest and choose the things that re-energize you, that refuel you, right? For some people, it's time with their family. For some people, it's time with their friends. Manage those things, right? And communicate, right? Sometimes when you're overworking or like when you have a high, delivery thing to do, please communicate to those people, your loved ones, that, oh, this is going to be happening at so time or whatever. Being able to just juggle the both. Sometimes there'll be more or less, in those times. But the important thing is being able to communicate, right? And be vulnerable with people. Tell them like, you know what, I'm going through this. I'm in a high stress situation right now. I can't deal with this right now. Please help me, manage this or whatever. Like ask for help, right? Help is not a sign of weakness, right? Ask for help, even in the workplace, right? By the time you build trust and are able to manage your people, they help you to split your work, or things like that, right? So those are the tips I think, that I'll be able to give on this one. So thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you,
Wow.
St. Consul, for
Wow.
having me
Can we
today.
make it rain in the chat room
Thank
for
you so much for having me.
Chikamaka? It's been simply amazing. Here is my round of applause for such a fantastic learning experience. Thank you so much. Considering what you told me at the beginning of this session, I don't believe you at this point as a psychologist. It was so good. I too learned a lot of things. I learned a lot of things. And I think for me, in the conversation, the eye-opener was when you spoke about when you collapsed and they had to take you to the hospital and only one person noticed. Oh my God. So for some of us, I think what you didn't say was what I heard. And what I heard is that even though you might have been working so hard, the value of your work was not as visible as the work that you were doing.
Yeah.
Because really, if your absence could ground the organization to a halt, they would have noticed. Yes.
Exactly.
They would have noticed.
They would have.
So you were doing so much for the good of the organization. However, it was not strategic in terms of making your value milkable, making your value bankable, making it visible enough that you are indispensable. Yes. And for me, that was a high opener. I had to ask myself, if I go missing for a few days in my client's life, because sometimes when we hear these things, for many of us, application is a problem. We are not able to look at our individual lives and connect it to our current realities. So if I go missing in my client's life that I have on retainers, what happens? Do they have to look for me? If they have to look for me, then I'm getting it right. But if they don't look for me and I'm working so hard, then I need to review what I'm doing to make sure that I'm doing what matters the most. Yes. So thank you once again, Chiamaka. It's been amazing. Please, can we hit the chat room and give her a mighty career acceleration? Thank you. Would love to interact with you at the physical summit. All of the fireside speakers who are in the country, because we have some that are not in Nigeria, will be at the fireside. So if you want to meet her personally as an HR professional of Astute, make sure you register for the summit. Please. And look for her in the room. Tell her I enjoyed your session. We look forward to seeing you once again, and thank you for doing this with us. We consider you a valuable asset on the Career Acceleration team. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, and all the very best. The subsequent sessions, I know they will be amazing.
Thank you so much. So everyone joining us, please, can you celebrate both our facilitator today and our moderator? He was simply amazing. I can't tell you how hot it's been in the studios here. Every fireside session has been mind-blowing. So if you are yet to share, subscribe, you are catching the replay at any point in time, subscribe, share, comment, like. Let's make this go viral. Honestly, because some of the best things in the world are usually hidden. And why would we keep this? It's our give back from CAS Consults as a CSR project to hold this summit every year. This is the second edition. It will be holding October 10th and 11th. Both days are virtual, but 11th is physical, is hybrid. So if you are in the city of Abuja, you are in Kaduna, you are in Lokoja, you are in Jos, road leads to the raw materials auditorium, Maitama Aguirosi to be precise, 9 a.m. on the 11th. We'll be meeting virtually. Professionals will be on site to also give you career advisory, do scouting for jobs and internship, and there will be high-level networking. When the people who matter, who can talk about you and open doors for you, get to those rooms, do they know you? So please, you need to be visible. Also, I want to acknowledge our sponsors for this Career Acceleration Summit. Our headline sponsor is FIRS, the Federal Inland Revenue Service. We also have Studio 24, our official media partners. We have Image Classic. We have Studio 20, Perfect Trust Cosmetics, and Masterminds Culinary Institute. These are all amazing sponsors who are making and bringing this summit to you absolutely free. Also, we would like to acknowledge our career and enterprise partners, the NYSC, that has worked actively with us since last year. Thank you for making this happen and joining hands with us to solve the problem of employability in Nigeria and across the globe. Lastly, to everyone who is watching this live on replay, you are the MVPs of the Career Acceleration Summit. We won't be able to do this if you do not submit yourself to the learnings that are available. If you have missed any, this is the number 4 of the Fireside Chats. So if you have missed any, please go back. Go to the playlist, watch all of them. And last year's summit, ahead of October 10th and 11th. Some of us have never done a single training this year. You have not taken a single course. You have not updated your bankable skills in the now of work. And you are praying so hard for the breakthrough in your career or enterprise. You are not doing the best. So watch all of them. It's coming to you free, but it's not free because your time, your data that you will use and sit down, and the discipline that would allow you thrive in 2025 going into 2026 is on you. We will be back in the studio same time next week, Friday, for another Fireside Chat. And we are looking forward to see you. If you are yet to subscribe, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, join our social media communities on Facebook, on, so that we can keep you on WhatsApp. If you register, you get pushed into the community directly so that you can get real-time information about the summit. Thank you for watching again today, and we'll see you next week. God bless you, and keep winning, because winning looks amazing on you. CAS admin, over to you.